Hey guys, welcome to Vibin with Ashley Live. I was having some technical difficulties earlier, but it looks like after I restarted my phone that I am good to go. So I'm going to start from the beginning now. Tonight we have Regi Drake, and Regi is going to be joining the room. Regi, I'm not having my issue anymore, so join the room and we'll get this thing started. Okay, there he is. So sorry.
Yes.
I just restarted my phone, and
Mhm.
I can actually see myself now, and I'm not getting a weird error. So
Oh,
let's start from
beautiful.
the beginning, because that was
Okay.
just a full mishmash. And apologies on my part, guys. For some reason, Instagram likes to mess with me at random times, like when I want to go live. But to everybody who just joined, this is the incredible Regi Drake, and this is Regi's second appearance on Vibin with Ashley Live. The first time we went live was November 7th. That was episode 20. So if you want to go back and see the first round of Regi and Ashley. But then Regi and I were talking about Lenny so much that I
Oh,
was like, you know what? We're going to do a Regi, Ashley, and Lenny show. Even though
yeah,
we want Lenny to be here with us, Lenny is here in spirit. And I feel like we need to give musicians their props while they're here,
absolutely. 10 out of 10 agree.
right? Because
Yeah,
life can end at any moment. And
yeah.
then it's, oh my gosh, I love them. I love them. Okay, but did you love them while they were here?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, preach. Preach to the choir.
Oh, sorry. This is the third time that we started to do this, but we're going to start it again. Okay. So he won the Grammy Award for Best Male Rock Vocal Performance 4 years in a row,
Or, yeah,
1990 to 2002. He also sold over 400 million albums worldwide. He released 11 albums, and then in October he released his memoir, Let Love Rule.
yeah. Ain't that cool? And
Amazing.
I have not read this thing, and I've been meaning to read it for so long.
Yeah.
Um, and I think, honestly, it probably just was because I was always on tour and couldn't just pick up the book. But um, I've been like hearing so many people talk about this book, and everyone seems to um, everyone seems to be saying like it's not a book about like rock stardom at all. It's not a book about like like what happened when I was touring across the world twice in the twice in my millennium. But it was about like him the first like 25 years of his life, like literally him growing up right before he became who he is now, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's like it's such a cool thing to hear about. It's kind of like the origin story, like where did Lenny Kravitz begin? Like who inspired him? Like who made this person? Like what people made this person who he is? Oh, Cisco, what's up, buddy? Hey, man. Yeah, like who made this person who he is, and like how his trajectory is just like skyrocketed from that point. Definitely want to read it. It's oh god, gotta
And
go do it.
and this is part one. So part two, he's going to release at a later time.
Oh, there's a second part. Oh
Yeah.
my god. Oh,
Yes.
okay, great.
Because the thing is, you're right. It is the first, 20 some odd years of his life up until 1989 when he released his first album.
Yeah.
He was also saying how he didn't think his life was interesting enough to make a book. And I'm like, what? It's so interesting.
I mean, it must be one of those like, like I'm living it, so it's like normal to me kind of thing. But it's like your mother was an actress,
Yeah.
you were around all of these people at all these like pretty important people at the time, right? And
Yeah.
um, like all of a sudden, like you get to have these like inroads into meeting these people and learning from them and having their experiences like flow into what you can be. And that's just how it's just so fascinating, like origin stories like that, just seeing who influenced this person to do what they needed to do.
Hmm. And before it cut us off the first round, we were talking about how he loved the Jackson 5 growing up and how he was writing Jackson in his notebook. And I'm like, that's so cute and so fun. And I mean, the Jackson 5, if you were around when they were here, I mean, just to see Michael Jackson with his brothers up there, like, could you imagine seeing them live at MSG? Like, that would be amazing.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like, even the thrill of it, like, that was huge ass arena, just
Yeah.
just huge, massive. And you know, there's just these great musicians, these great performers on stage, and it's almost like the most cutting edge thing around at the time, and you're just so inspired by it. Like, I would be inspired if I saw the Jackson 5 up there and just be like, wow, like, I could do this. It's crazy. And it kind of, it speaks to it because, I mean, obviously everybody in the Jackson 5 is incredibly talented, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even Mike alone. But you can see, like, how their showmanship kind of washed over to him too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
definitely,
they commanded the stage, they commanded your attention, and I think that's kind of how he wanted it to be as well. You know, there's even points where you know, Lenny was trying to find himself in the music world, right? Like, he was trying to figure out, like, who am I? Like, where do I belong in this spectrum of music? Like, am I more of like a David Bowie kind of guy? Like, do I have to, you know, be glitz and glamour, or am I more of like the black, being in like the black version of Duran Duran kind of thing? You know?
Yeah.
Like, do I have to like make this my aesthetic? Do I have to play this way? And I think he just melded it all together and became this.
Yeah.
Like, this, like, one of the last great rockers of our time, you know?
I know. Just because his catalog, and I mean, he still tours, he's just stood the test of time. And I'm so happy that we're able to experience him while he's still with us on earth. Because you think of like Jimi Hendrix, you think of like all these musicians, legendary musicians that are no longer here with us. Like, you think of Michael Jackson, like, who was able to see Michael Jackson live? Like, yes, there were people that saw Michael Jackson live, but like, could you imagine seeing Michael Jackson live, like, during the Bad tour? Or
Wow. Like, that's a feat if you can do that at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
I remember, I mean, kind of small tangent, I just remember watching Michael Jackson. My family would put on, like, it was like a Michael Jackson tribute show, and it all, like, everybody came out for it, and you can just see, like, how crazy it is. But like, to be in an atmosphere of that, like, grandeur, like, just that height of level of performance,
Yeah.
I'm sure it would change you, you know, like,
Mm-hmm.
and Betty is the testament to that. Like, if you see him perform, it's just like, what am I experiencing? You know, like, he commands your presence. He wants you to. Man.
Have you seen him live before?
I've not seen him live before, and I'm like fighting tooth and nail to do that. Like,
That's your bucket list.
it has to be. Oh my God. Every day. I got super close. My family, oh man. My family had tickets to go see him live when I was in St. Louis. And I don't know why we didn't go. I remember I was really sad. I was just like, oh my God. But this guy, he gets me, and I get him. Like,
Exactly.
let's
It
go
needs
see
to
him.
happen. You need to see him.
Man, I did have the, I did almost run into him though. And it was, oh my God. I chickened. It was kind of like that thing that I was telling you about last time I was here with Tom Morello.
Oh my.
Chicken out. It was one of those things.
Tom!
I know. And it's Tom.
I don't think you told me the Lenny Kravitz story where you almost met him.
Where was he? What tour was it? I feel like it was in Chicago. Or was it in Chicago? Oh, wow. Now this is me being young or old. It was either or maybe it was when I was in St. Louis and I was like going to see that concert and I didn't go see that concert. but still should not do that ever again. I think I would have learned by that point that if I'm going to, if I'm going to meet an artist, I just need to take the initiative and meet the artist and not be so afraid. Just be like, hi, I know you might hate me, but I love you. So just, just take that and do what you will.
I also love when other men approach other men and they're like, I just love you. And they're like, excuse me?
It's like, hey dog, I just love you. It's like, cool.
Oh, great.
Oh man. I know that if I even attempted to talk to Lenny, my foot would just fall out of my mouth. So, we'll try. We'll prepare for the moment.
Hey, when everything gets better in 2021, it's going to happen. You're either going to see him in the festival circuit, when you're on tour. It's going to happen. Those paths are going to cross.
I hope. Oh my goodness.
You see it's Regi, and then it happens.
Speak it into existence. That's what I'm
doing. You write it down on a sheet of paper, and then you put it somewhere, and then you're like, oh, I wrote this down in December 2020, and here I am, and I just was able to cross it off.
Nice. Yeah. Definitely. Put it right above my bed.
Exactly. So did you know that he used to go by Romeo Blue?
Yeah. I just found that out, actually.
That's
and cool. I was like, whoa, for real? Like, we're doing that. He did that because he was like in the era of like Prince and David Bowie and all those guys. And I mean, those two alone are like super like marvelous people, right? Yeah. And like two of those performers are like very aesthetic in showmanship, right? And I think he like put in blue contacts.
He did.
For a while too, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And he was like, it's so painful, but I had to get in character. I'm like, that's mad props, because Michael Jackson did that in Thriller with the yellow contacts. And back then it was different than like if you wore colored contacts now. Yeah. So just beyond painful. So to get into character back in the 80s and the 90s, it was just, you were sacrificing a lot, but it was just like, I kind of embody this person.
Yeah, right. And I mean, like, it's almost like a superhero aesthetic when you think about it. Yeah. Like, this is who I am on stage. It's like you're putting on a face for that. And I think that's so interesting to me, like how, because I've never really myself, I never really was one to, like put on a costume or something for performance or anything like that. But how some artists are very comfortable with just, like, this is my aesthetic on stage. This is my aesthetic when I'm off. And it's very, it's interesting because like, it's almost like you have two personas when you're doing that too, right? Like you're adapting a whole different vibe for it. To be said about him as well. I mean, you've seen him on stage. He's all over the place. He's ridiculous. He jumps around. He flings his guitar up in the air. He does a solo. He touches like up to Craig Ross, and he's crazy. But then you meet him outside. He's like unmoving water. He's just calm. And
he's so calm. He is so calm. He just, like, you can tell he's done a lot of inner work within himself, because when you hear him talk or when you hear him do interviews, he's just like, yeah, let love rule, like just always talking about mind, body, and spirit, and just better himself. And I'm just like, but look at how electrifying he is on stage, just like demanding the stage, in your face, rock star. But then he's off the stage and it's just like you want to take yoga with him.
Right. And oh my goodness, it's he said before, what interview was it? He was talking about, like, someone asked him, like, why do you disconnect so much? Like, why do you take these periods where you're just like gonna go to your island in the Bahamas, you're gonna go to Nassau or whatever? And he's just like, well, for it, disconnecting is connecting for me, right? Like, disconnecting is like me kind of coming together with whatever's around me. And it's almost like you're communing with the world around you,
Mm-hmm.
so to speak. And, you know, like he says, like, that's where I get my inspiration for music. That's where I get, you know, like my peace. That's where I like reflect on, you know, the things that happen in my life, and I make peace with them and I keep moving forward. And, you know, I find that aesthetic so cool because it's, at first glance, you kind of think, well, yeah, like that's kind of like your thing, but that's his lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like, that's him. That is him. That's his, like, that's almost like his mantra. It's like, I want to be so at peace with, you know, everything around me, that when I do need to unleash, I'll go ahead and unleash, but I can put myself right back into the place I need to be and still give love to everything I need to give love to. Like, that is cool.
It's so powerful. Like, I want to go to the Lenny Kravitz retreat in the Bahamas and stay with him for a week, so he just, like, even if I have like 1 ounce of that calmness,
Mm-hmm.
love, you know what I mean? Even if I had a small little piece of that love, it just like brought it into my life. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, he is so amazing.
He's he's definitely mastered something. And I think, you know, I know we're bouncing around, but it has something to do with his upbringing too. You know?
Yeah.
I do remember another interview that I was looking at. He was talking about his relationship with his father and his relationship with his mother, right? And, you know, his father was a white man and mother was a black woman, TV actress. So they obviously faced a lot of hardships in that day. And the thing that most people would say, though, is how that they try to work these things out, even through all this adversity and through all of these periods of just complete chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And in his book, he talks a lot about his mother. Like, talks so much about his mother and how much of like a cornerstone she was in his life, and how he looks at everything, because his mother was a very like gracious, like very loving person. Like, she will find the good in everybody, and she'll, you know, make herself known from it. And I think that's how Lenny tries to hold himself. He wants to make himself known for, you know, spreading these good vibes. Like, everybody has good things in them. You have to bring it out.
Right.
And I think that's one of like the most super admirable things about Lenny, is like, he can find the good in everything.
Yeah. And something that I love is he's very good friends with Lisa Bonet's husband, Jason Momoa. Like, amazing.
Crazy. Like, right? I'm like, that is like next level. And I mean, yeah, like the Lisa Bonet, that whole relationship and how they navigate it is just so cool to me. You know, like, still has so much love and empathy for Lisa, but respects that, you know, things have moved on in that department. And another good indicator is like how he treats Zoe.
I know.
Like, they're like best friends, and it's oh man.
Oh, I want to be adopted by him, please.
I know. I just want to call him Uncle Lenny. Just, Uncle Lenny, just teach me things.
I'll just live on the compound. Like, I won't even come in the house. I'll like live out in the grass.
Right. He'll probably be like, yes, this is great grass. I know. He's so
like, you won't even know I'm there. I'll just like listen to you like make music from the yard. Right.
You'll just pop in every now and then and just be like, hey, Lenny. It's like, doing great. See ya. Yeah.
You can join me. I mean, the property's big enough.
I mean, obviously. I've always wondered, like, I think it was GQ who did it, or maybe it was like something else, but they did like an inside look of his, I don't know what you even call that thing.
Well, digest.
Yeah. So they did like a look through what he has, and it's just like, how do you do this? And he's like, oh, this is nothing. I'm like, I'm good. Like, I got everything I need. And I'm like, man, okay. That's cool. Yeah. And in that whole idea too, like he's also or not a graphic designer, interior designer,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like he dabbles in interior design as well. And uh, it's just like, what can't you do, man?
And
like,
everything.
like literally, what can't you do? Like you've kind of got this grip on like being wholesome and loving everything. You don't ask for much. You have everybody deem you as like, this rock icon.
Hmm.
And it even top it off, you go ahead and are an interior designer and an actor.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like the hustle is so strong with him. Man,
It, I
gee,
love it.
yeah, it's crazy. Man, I just don't even know. There's so many things you can say about him.
Exactly. So
Um,
you're also going to perform some Lenny for us tonight, right?
oh yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna try.
So let's do a quick break for song
Okay.
and then back in the discussion. Cool?
Sure, sure. Well, I thought, since I'm not as vocally talented as Lenny, that I was gonna at least try to do one of his songs kind of down tempo. This one's called Again. You might know it. It's pretty great. I've been searching for you. I heard you call within my soul. I never had a yearning quite like this before. Now that you're here, walking right through my door. And all of my life, where have you been? I wonder if I'll ever see you again. And when that day comes, I know we will win. I wonder if I'll ever see you again. A sacred gift from heaven, for better, worse, whenever. And I'll never let somebody try to break it down or take your crown. Never. All of my life, where have you been? I wonder if I'll ever see you again. And if that day comes, I know we'll win. I wonder if I'll ever see you again. Now I've always known inside your throne, without a king, my love forever. All of my life, where have you been? I wonder if I'll ever see you again. And if that day comes, I know we'll win. I wonder if I'll ever see you again. All right, Lenny. Well, hope that was good.
I think that was such a good song because we're all stuck in quarantine. So it's like, when am I going to see you again?
Yeah. Wow. Right there. I didn't even think about that. Man, hopefully.
Hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yeah, seriously. Actually, he had a what interview? Maybe it was the Rolling Stones interview. Someone was talking about like, so what have you been doing during quarantine? And he was just like, man, I've always been in quarantine.
Yeah,
And I was like,
he has.
yo.
He has though, and that's the crazy thing is because most of us just live our lives and see people we go to work with and hang out with our friends. But he literally like has been in quarantine in his compound in the Bahamas. I'm like, so this is kind of normal for him. Like he's
Yeah.
not stressed out. He's just chilling.
I mean, like, I have my idea that he is kind of like, yeah, this is a big deal, but at the same time, he's like, you know, staying at home ain't really that bad. I mean, like, I got it. But yeah, when he said that, I was like, dang, he really has been in quarantine for all that time. I
Yeah.
mean, like, it hasn't been like forced quarantine, but it's just been like him being like, I just want to disconnect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he said something else in the same article about extremes, and he said, I'm going to come back to this quote because I jotted it down. I always said that I love extremes. It's the middle that I don't do very well. I don't get an energy from that. I feed off the extremes. And I'm like, very interesting.
Interesting. I guess it makes sense, you know. Like I'm thinking about like, you know, him on stage versus him off stage.
Right.
Because you know, like you're totally wired. You don't do anything like in between. You're gonna give it and you know make sure it's going all the way through. And when he's off, he's just like, all right, well, now we chill, and now we just go live, explore.
Other extreme at that point. So he has 11 albums, and we're not going to talk about all of them. We're just going to talk about. We're going to talk about. I mean, when do you think that you became a Lenny fan?
Oh man, I became a Lenny fan the first time I heard "Fly Away."
Me too.
Nice. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
I was in the car. I feel like I was driving home from school. I feel like I could just see this. I'm driving home from school and I hear on the radio like a rock song. It's Fly Away. And I'm just like, oh, it's a rock song. Okay, great. Now at the time I had like this huge affinity for dragonflies. I don't know why. Maybe just because their names were dragonflies and they kind of look cool. They had 4 wings and they just buzzed around. I'm like, I love dragonflies. It's awesome. Yeah. So I'm like lightly listening to the song and, you know, the opening lyrics, you know, I wish that I could fly into the sky so very high, just like a dragonfly. And I was like, what did he just say? A dragonfly.
He spoke to me.
I was like, this guy, he understands. And so then like the song keeps playing and I'm like, all right, I kind of like it. And then the chorus hits. And I mean, when you hear the chorus, you know it's the chorus, right? Like, because it just hits so hard. I mean, I just feel like I have to play it now.
Let's get into it.
I'm just gonna go ahead and because when you hear the chorus, like you just like what? Like that's so cool. It's great. And you know, I heard that song and I was like, I love Lenny Kravitz. I want to know more about him. And that's when I found out that you know he was black, and you know when that was very important to me because I was a black rocker in my opinion, right? Mm-hmm. And I wanted to find more and like feed off of that energy, and I fully dove into him. And it, oh God, never take it back afterwards.
Yeah, no, but I feel the same way. So my experience with Lenny, when they used to play music videos on TV, I was all about music videos because the visual would just stick in your mind, right?
Right. Yeah.
I see this music video and he's in that big warehouse, the open,
right. And it's all grainy and like,
yeah. Yes, and I was like, who is this guy? He's having so much fun. And then the riffs and just visually, it was so appealing. And I was like, wow, like, who is this guy? Yeah. And it's funny that we picked the same song because out of 11 albums worth of music, it's just like that song definitely hits for a lot of people, I think.
Exactly. And it's been in so many commercials too. And, you know, most of his songs have been in commercials, right? And he has this idea that, you know, he's a hit maker. Lenny is literally just a hit maker because he's got, I mean, you can look through all of these, you know, all of these albums and you can see all of the things that are in there. Like,
Yeah.
Are You Gonna Go My Way? Like, it's just American Woman, all of these things. And, you know, he just commands like all of these different people from all the facets of the music industry to pay attention to him.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So from that album 5, which came out in 1998, are there 1 or 2 songs that really stick out for you on that album?
You know, I think in 5, I believe Black Velveteen is in that one.
Yeah.
And the reason I like that was because of the use of the, I guess it's a sequencer or a drum, like that really like, it just sounds really electronic. And I was like, whoa,
yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Colin wants to know if you can shuffle and jump rope at the same time.
Colin. I don't know. I'll have to see. Stay tuned, buddy. I'll let you know. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I miss that guy.
I think Black Velveteen is one of those songs you just hear it and you're like, wow, that was so cool.
Yeah. Black Velveteen, it was just such a, and it just didn't sound like anything like he made, because it wasn't like, you know, it wasn't really crazy rocky. It was more like industrial, kind of not techno-y, but more electronic, definitely with that texture underneath. And I think that appealed to me because it's like, Lenny doesn't do this. This is pretty cool, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, Black Velveteen, definitely 5 on that one.
Definitely. Let's go to the first album, Let Love Rule.
Oh my God. That's a hard one, Ash. I
Hit
think Mr. Cab Driver's on that one, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. I love Mr. Cab Driver. Super simple. Like, super simple. Love that song. Yeah.
I love it. Just, it's very simple. It's very catchy. And he's like, Mr. Cab Driver. And he always says Mr. Cab Driver. And then he's like, fuck you, I'm a survivor. And I'm like, right. As a New Yorker, I'm just like, I've been in so many cabs. And I'm just like, and then when I think about it, and I'm like, you hear that dun, 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 dun.
Right.
And I'm like, yes!
You're just sitting there like, yes, bravo. I love that. Definitely Mr. Cab Driver. I love that song.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I also love B from that album.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That one's pretty good too.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot on that one too.
Because when I was going through the songs and I was like, oh, let me just pick like 1 or 2 for me and Reg to talk about. Oh gosh, I don't know. Like
there's like a plain favorite.
Oh my gosh, there's so many, and this one's simple, and this one's a ballad, and this one's like a banger, and so there were just different levels to that as well. What about 1991 Mama Said?
Oh, you know what? Always on the Run.
Yes, that's
like,
how mine is too.
I love that song. And it's the riff. Like, it's like that riff. It's just like, ugh.
I know. Yes.
And it's so, the thing I love about that song is like at the end, he gets like a phone call from Mom. He's like, oh, what's up, Mom? What? You said what? Right now? Wait a minute. And he just like does this huge ass scream. And I'm like, Lenny, you didn't have to do that. Love that.
Oh my gosh, I love it too. And I love that I was like, oh, I just want to tell you a couple of my favorite songs, and the songs that I like are the songs that you like as well. Yeah. What the fuck are we saying? How about that one? That
is also a good one too. I was listening to that earlier this week actually. And I was like, good, Lenny. That one's great. There's one more on there that I really like though. Fields of Love isn't on that one, right? That's what is that? Dang. I'm missing. It's too many albums, Lenny.
So many albums, and you're kind of like, I know the song, but like I just don't know if I know what album.
Yeah. I'm trying to like make I'm trying to get my head right for it. There's so many. so many.
So many. Are You Gonna Go My Way, 1993?
Man. Honestly, I love Are You Gonna Go My Way. I know it sounds very cliche, but I really love that one.
Yeah, and that video where what was he in? He was in like this big open space.
Yeah, it was I haven't seen that video in a minute either.
Yeah.
It was no, I'm thinking of two different videos now. Lenny, so much content, Lenny. He was in that big old space. Dang, I don't remember. That one.
Space, his whole band was there. It was like
Yeah.
I don't want to say cavern because it wasn't a cavern, but it was like this big open.
Wasn't like a hangar or like a basement or something like that. No, it was. Oh man, I gotta go watch it. I gotta go watch it now.
We got to go back into like old school Lenny videos. How about Believe?
Oh, Believe in that one?
Yeah,
that's pretty. I like Believe.
I love the riff in Believe. It's like, I get so emotional when I hear that song, and it's just like the lyrics and then the riff, and I'm like, I just don't want this song to end.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, you're right. Are You Gonna Go My Way and Believe off of that album for me?
He actually, so his guitarist, Craig Ross, who is phenomenal, by the way. Like, my gosh. His guitarist, Craig Ross, and him did I think it was like a duo set where it's just like them two on the guitar playing that. And he does like this beautiful solo to it. And you're just like, how do you even exist, man? Funny story about his lead guitarist real quick. He actually met Craig Ross, the guy with the big old, like, big hair and all that stuff. You see him all the time. He met him in a bar shooting pool, actually.
Yeah.
And like, Lenny was looking for a lead guitarist at the time, and he was just like, I can play lead guitar. And so he brought him back to his house, and they just jammed. And before playing a set of, like, a little round of pool, they jammed, and he was like, yeah, come with me. Let's do some stuff. And then...
That could have been you.
Well, I was born a little too late. So thanks, Mom and Dad. Next time.
Wow.
But yeah, good stuff. Anyway, yeah, a little side team.
It's just kind of being in the right place at the right time.
Definitely. Absolutely.
When an opportunity comes, you're like, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, I was like, sure. Well, why not? I got time to kill. And then...
anything exciting, but yeah, you want me to play with you? I'm down.
Right. Tours the world right after. Maybe still playing. Oh, man. Oh, man.
Unbelievable. So in 2001, right before World Trade, he was going to film his video for Dig In. And that was supposed to be actually shot on top of the Empire State Building, September 12th, 2001. But they canceled the shoot for that because of the World Trade Center attack. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
I know.
Wow.
Either. But I was just doing some research earlier, and I was like, wow. Like, could you imagine, like, especially the world in mourning in New York City and just everything. And I'm like, wow.
That's heavy.
That's
really heavy. Wow. Yeah. That's great video, but like it would have been a great video, but heavy stuff. And it makes so much sense. I mean, man, oh dear.
I know.
Tragic time in history for that. And I mean, I'm sure that was a little close to home too, because he was right there, you know? Yeah.
He lived in New York for a number of years on Crosby Street. I remember, well, because you know, like, you kind of can see where celebrities live. Their addresses are somewhat public in a way. And so he lived on Crosby Street. And I was, you know what? I'm kind of close. I'm just going to walk by. I mean, I don't think he was living there at the time. But it was just like, to know, like, just to walk down that street and be like, he used to come out of this building. Like, that's pretty amazing.
Like, right. And you know, it's strange when you think about that, because like history was made there, you know? And wow. Yeah.
Amazing. So he also said that his energy is better at 50 than it was when he was 20.
Here's hoping that happens for me. That is amazing. And oh man, I don't even know why. How that?
So he is very good friends with Mick Jagger.
Yeah.
And obviously Mick has been doing this for years and years and years and still doing it. I mean, obviously not during quarantine, but was doing up until quarantine. And so pretty much, I mean, and you're a touring musician, so you know, so it's kind of like, okay, Mick, well, what do I need to do? And Mick's like, well, you got to eat right, you got to sleep, you got to fuel your body with the right stuff. And I mean, yeah, because you're on a tour bus, you're on planes, there's jet lag,
Like
I'm not a touring musician, but I can only imagine what you guys go through.
yeah, I mean, I know a little bit about it. It's definitely like that. It's moving from city to city very quickly, staying in cities maybe like a few hours,
Yeah.
playing a show, and you know, jumping right back on a plane or on a tour bus, and you know, hauling through the night to get somewhere else. And I absolutely agree. Like, treating your body right is the like optimum thing, because you don't want to be on stage and feeling like you're just melting all the time. You know, and it makes so much sense. I mean, Mick Jagger, literally, it feels like Mick Jagger can't even die because he's just taking care of himself so well these days, right?
Yeah.
And it would make so much sense because both of those men are heavy, heavy touring hitters, right? And I mean, you have no option. I remember I was actually, I don't know what happened, but I was on Instagram one day and I actually saw Lenny talk about how he had to cancel a show, maybe in Brazil somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being like, that must be a big thing that he had to cancel a huge thing. And in Brazil, like he's crazy everywhere, but like he's got a crazy following in South Africa, right? And for him to say that, I was just like, whoa, something must have like really shook up for them to just be like, hey, can't play tonight. You know? Right. It's crazy. But then his like rebound afterwards, like he just gets up and he's like, all right, well, on to the next thing. I'll see you in a minute. Like, Lenny.
And I think, you know, it has to do with being on his compound, because he has all these fruits and veggies and he has a farm, and it's like, he's not eating McDonald's in the Bahamas. Like, he is eating the best fresh food in the
He talks about it. Yeah. He talks about it in, I think, GQ or one of these magazines. He talks about like how he lives off land. He tends to his garden. He makes sure that everything's fine. Back in the day when he had his crazy, you know, afro, he used to like literally chop down aloe vera trees or plants, get his aloe, mush it up, put it in his hair, shake it out, and walk through. I learned that, and I did that to my hair. It did not look nearly as good. But, no, I did try it. Back when I was in college. And yeah, but it was just so astounding to see how he just made do with it. But and it's also because of his roots, because he has, you know, relatives and, you know, cousins in that part of the world. So, you know, it's just part of him.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
So, like I said, he's been growing his own food, and he's using trees as makeshift workout benches.
I know. See, he's like, we're just gonna make do with what we got, and he does, and he makes do, and he also is incredibly healthy in that front too. Like, he preaches like just working out a few minutes in the day.
Yeah.
Also something that I like to take to heart. And he really just knows how to take care of himself and everybody around him. He has a lot of compassion for the things that, you know, are around him. Mm-hmm. And he wants to make sure that he, you know, is going to stay up and well and, you know, ready to go at any given moment, so he can, you know, keep spreading love, like let love rule. Like, he's almost like this vessel to do it, and he needs to make sure that he's optimal so he can do it.
Yeah.
You know?
And hey, I mean, you're in this compound, the sun is shining, fresh fruits, fresh vegetables.
Water, body of water nearby and all that. Like,
that's the life. I mean, we don't get that in Seattle and New York. We're like,
we don't.
20 degrees.
Yeah. we got the sound over there, and you know we don't really want to jump in that right now. Oh man.
What else? There was a quote from, I believe it was Rolling Stone, and he said, "Love has to be the final outcome for every situation."
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's so powerful.
He really is. He's about unity. That's what I've learned about him. He's really about like, there's no need for this like tension between us, between all these people. There's just us, and that's what it should be. And it's a very like admirable thing to, you know, hold inside of you and believe so strongly in. Because right now, I mean, there's so much division, and you've seen it. It's in his music all the time. For example, Black, White America, right? Like that song, the title track, he talks about that. I mean, he talks about race relations, or he talks about like war, like peace is what we need, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's about, you know, the collective is what he's trying to go for. It's not just about like this side versus this side. It's about how we deal with the world as a unit.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's just it's very comforting to hear at that age, right? Because you know that we need more of that. Especially now, we don't need any more division. We need more unity.
Yeah.
And that's like been his steadfast mission ever since I've known him. It's like, I am you, you are me. Let's make this work.
Yeah. Unity, love, always leading with love. The outcome always needs to be love. Like, it's just like, that's exactly what we need to hear. Not just now, but.
Right. Like, keep it in our hearts for forever. I mean, it's the most simple message. And I think that's the other thing. It's a simple message.
Yeah.
Love, you know, like be humble, honor the person next to you. You're all working together to fulfill your duty in life. So love each other. It's Lenny, see?
He's such a simple guy, but there's so much depth in what he says, what he writes, how he acts. And there's, it's just like, I want him to life coach me.
I know. He would be a crazy life coach. He'd just be so good. Just so knowledgeable. We'd be like, oh, I got a B on my test. He'd be like, well, at least you're smarter. And I'd be like, whoa. I don't know.
I'm telling you, like, he could really go somewhere with this life coaching thing, because it's like, we think of him, we look up to him, love, light, positivity. And it's like, hey, if you could just give us just a small piece of that so I could put it in my pocket and carry it with me.
Right. You know, put it right in the wad so I could just pull it out and be like, he said to let love rule. That's cool.
Exactly.
And, you know, I think a lot of people with his book were saying, like, it's very therapeutic when you think about it. Of course, it's a memoir, so it talks more about, like, his upbringing. But I guess there's a little bit more of, like, is ethos the right word? Like, where you can kind of see that situation and take it into your own aura and be like, this makes sense to me, you know? Right. Yeah, definitely need to read that book now. But
I was thinking because, you know, we had talked after our first live, and I was like, you know what? I should have said to Reggie, we both need to get this book, because then it'd be like a book club thing. But then again,
like, welcome to Vibin with Ashley, the book club edition.
But then again, I don't want to wreck the book for people who haven't read it.
True. That's fair. That's fair. Fair. But you could be like, oh, you just take some excerpts out of it and be like, one might find that this part would be great if you take it into your soul and all that. Next time we'll think about it.
And there's going to be a part 2, so
yes.
Who knows what's coming.
There we go, right? I mean, I wonder what part 2 is going to be about then.
It's going to be from 1989 probably till present day, I would think, because the first part was his first 25 years of life.
Interesting. Yeah, okay. All right. I'm invested. I'm very invested now.
I'm
going to go out and buy it. I'm going to go out and buy it tomorrow.
So you have another one for us, right? Song-wise?
I do. Now this song is where'd my pick go? There it is. This song is actually a cover he did. From a Canadian band called the Guess Who, right? And he took this song and he made it his own, and it just blew up. It's called American Woman. American Woman. American woman, stay away from me. American woman, mama, let me be. Don't come knocking around my door. I don't want to see your face no more. I got more important things to do than spend my life growing old with you. Now, woman, stay away. American woman, listen what I say. Hey. American woman, to get away. American woman, listen what I say. Don't come knocking around my door. I don't want to see your shadow no more. Color lights get hypnotized. Sparkle someone else's eyes. Now, woman, get away. American woman, listen what I say. American woman, get away from me. American woman, mama, let me be. Don't come knocking around my door. I don't see your face no more. I don't need your war machines. I don't need your ghetto scenes. Color lights get hypnotized by someone else's eyes. Now, woman, get away. American woman, listen what I say. I gotta go. I gotta get away. No, I gotta go. I gotta fly away. Oh, bye-bye. Bye-bye. Oh, bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Awesome. No, not bye yet. Bye-bye.
Bye. See you later.
The chat was blowing up for that one. That's such a cool cover.
It's weird. Like, geez. It's it's amazing how like this band was like, yeah, we're gonna make the song called American Woman, and then Lily's like, I dig it. I'm gonna take it. And I'm gonna make something cool.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
He gave that song new life because people know that version. But then, you know, when you remake a song, it's like, then all these other new people love it. So like, yeah, we do know both of those versions, and they're both.
Right. Yeah, you know, and I think, you know, he took it and obviously he made it his own. It's his cover of it, his interpretation of that song. And I think the thing that, you know, astounds me about it is how much it blew up from it.
Huge.
You know? Huge. And I almost wanted to figure out, like, how things were between the Guess Who's and him. Because I don't know, like, how that, you know, wove into each other and all that. But you saw, like, everything, like, got multiple awards. The music video was, like, on point for it.
It was amazing.
And yeah, you know, like, it's one of those songs that, like, you know it when you hear it, right? And you know the cover when you hear it.
Definitely.
Like, it's only that one chord pretty
Mm-hmm.
much the entire song until it goes down and comes right back up, and it's like, oh, it's this is American Woman.
So I miss music videos because when I think of Lenny, I think of all these music videos in my head, right? And so now
Right.
when you hear songs, you just hear the song. There's no visual behind it. It's kind of just the song.
Yeah. It's just like, all right, this is great. Yeah. Yeah, there's a few songs that specifically with Lenny that I've purposely watched the music video for. Again, I watched the music video for, and like he paints a story with it. It's very like simple. It's very easy and all that. But another one that I watched actually a little while ago was "Come On Get It" off of Black and White America,
Mm-hmm.
and I watched it because that song was in like numerous Super Bowl like commercial. It was in like a Super Bowl commercial maybe back in the day.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's Lenny, I gotta go see it. And you look at it, it's just like a bunch of people running around. They're on a fence, they're like shaking the fence, like going crazy for Lenny, and he's got his aviator on, his his little leather jacket without a shirt, his tattoos showing, he's just flinging himself around. It's just like it gives the song more of an animated feel to it, right?
Definitely.
Knowing that's how it's supposed to be played.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, the visual behind music is so important. And as I said, anything from like the past 5 or 10 years, it's kind of like, oh, I hear the song, I streamed it, but there's no visual. Like the Fly Away video,
Right.
you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Jeez, man, it's great. The people who like are behind Lenny's vision too
Mm-hmm.
are incredible. Like he's played with a lot of people.
Yes.
I mean, one of his first opening gigs was, I believe, with Tom Petty. He was opening for Tom Petty.
Mm-hmm.
And
Amazing.
I was like, whoa, that's crazy. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, like, okay, that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
And then, like he co-wrote some songs with Madonna, and he's worked with so many people in the industry, and more towards like the end of, so like Black and White America, he was working with more mainstream artists. Like he worked with Jay-Z and he worked with Drake, and it's just like, how do you think of these people, or like how do you have like this much respect in the music community where you can just be like, I would like you to be on a song.
Yeah.
And they just come in. Yeah, it is so cool to see that, like see so many people like humble Lenny, right? And because he's done great work, and he's inspired a group of people, us, to kind of let loose and feel ourselves a little bit more.
Definitely. So I'm going to share another quote with you. If you want it, you got it. You just got to believe in yourself, because it's all just a game. We just want to be loved. And that was from the song Believe from the album Are You Gonna Go My Way?
Yeah, yes it was. Beautiful stuff. I'm trying to remember what that lyric was, and so many songs, Ashley. There's just so many songs.
Like we all night if we talked about all the albums and all the songs, and like yeah,
like writing a dissertation to all of
exactly.
There have been a few moments where I am just in awe with what he does. Like simple songs, like even Flowers for Zoe.
Definitely.
Flowers. There's no frills to it. There's nothing that's crazy. But Stand By My Woman, another good one.
Oh,
that
yeah.
I'm like, and I wanted to like ask why he writes these things, right? Because sometimes you think, the songs are very like, oh, he wrote that because of this, he wrote that because of that, right? But obviously there's always a meaning underneath it, right? There's always some sort of underlying meaning. And there have been a few songs like Flowers for Zoe, like what moment did you write this song? Like, why is this? Why did you call this song Flowers for Zoe? Because obviously Zoe Kravitz is your daughter. Did something happen? What life event happened where you just like, I love my daughter, here's this, here's that? Like, what's going on in your head when you wrote that song? And then like you're looking into like more like Raised Vibrations. Now I love his single Low.
Me
Low
too.
there's no frills to it, you know? And I think there's some like crazy like lyrical moments in Low. Like he talks about like, is my sexuality something of a tragedy? You know, like he's asking all these questions. He's trying to figure out like what, you know, where do I stand in all of this? Drop the beat, let me go, got to keep it low. Like, am I trying to stay low in spectrum? Like, am I trying to be like, don't raise high? Kind of like what we were talking about, don't do anything in the middle. Go either really extreme or really or really at the low part of it.
Exactly.
Like kind of that low energy in instead of the high energy.
Mm-hmm.
What it's about. You know, I definitely want to check those out. You know, see where he comes from at that point.
Definitely. I love it. Well, our time is up for this evening, and I'm
so quick.
Finally get on this because we were having I was having some funky Instagram problems.
We'll just blame Instagram. It's fine.
I'm happy that we were able to reconnect and do this, and I wasn't pausing, and we were able to have this amazing discussion. Giving Lenny his props. Are there any final words from you tonight, Regi?
Man, are there any final words? If y'all haven't seen, heard, listened to Lenny Kravitz, you should do that like ASAP.
Yes.
And just spend like a few days. Spend a few days just kind of listening. Because we're in quarantine, we need some new music. Maybe we need to revisit Lenny. Just do it. I'm positive it's gonna make you feel so much better. Thank y'all all for listening. Thank you for having me, Ashley.
Yes. I'm going to piggyback on what Regi said. Please go listen to Lenny Kravitz music if you haven't already. He has 11 albums worth of music. 11. I don't know how long it's going to take you to get through all of that, but you know, it's definitely going to change you and inspire you to do good in the world. And Regi, thank you again for joining me. If you guys don't already, please follow Regi. He's an amazing musician, guitarist, and I have amazing conversations with Regi. It's so much fun doing Vibin with Ashley live with Regi. So please follow Regi. And if you don't already, please follow me. I interview incredible musicians just like Regi. And if you missed my actual interview with Regi, please go back. It was episode 20. I believe that was November 7th. And this was an episode just based on Lenny and the goodness that Lenny Kravitz is.
Good old Lenny. My good old Lenny. Yes.
Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate your patience and your time and everything. Continue to stay safe. Happy holidays. And we're going to do this again soon.
Yes, good. Happy holidays, everybody. Thank you, Ashley. Bye-bye, team.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.